You're listening to the Restoring Human Movement podcast, where movement experts discuss the latest evidence-based practices to help you and your clients move with mastery. And now, your host, Dr. Sebastian Gonzalez.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Sebastian Gonzalez again, your host with the Restoring Human Movement podcast. Now, this is episode 100. 100. I never thought I would make it to 100, actually, and I feel very fortunate that I've been able to get such great guests and great topics to actually fill in the 100. And I had a couple people tell me that, like, wow, your show has gotten better over the last 30 or so, or through this year. And I thought I had great guests last year, but I feel like we're digging a little bit deeper in and getting some good content and dragging it out of these experts. Or I hope that I am. I hope my interviewing skills are good enough. But I had a really hard time picking what I was going to do for this number 100 because not all the time do I get to 100 or 200 or 300 of anything. I mean, shit, I probably only have like 100 Instagram followers, you know. So I'm going to celebrate this, and I'm going to go over some highlights, mainly my top 5 memorable moments from the podcast so far. So I'm going to have some clips of the episodes of some people that I interviewed that I thought, man, that was a good little segment right there. And it's funny, when I was thinking about these, I didn't actually think about all the clinical stuff that we talked about because it's a little bit dry. And I think, to be honest with you, I have the job of sharing information that is things that people typically don't care about. It's dry topics. Most people don't care about human anatomy and biomechanics and how to restore movement until it affects them. So I think making it entertaining enough is actually, I think it's pretty important because they'll shut off right away, I think, at least in my observation. So I did learn, don't get me wrong, I did learn a ton over the course of the last 100 episodes. And actually, it's really molded how I practice. I learned a ton from speaking with experts like Stuart McGill, Brian Carroll. Who else is on this list? We had Michael Bann recently. We had Jen Scare from Doc Gen Fit, Stefan Kazel, Warren Hammer, Philip Snell, Quinn Henich, Michael Shacklock. That was a great one. Tom Michaud, and a good friend, Cody Demock, was on here as well. I learned a ton from him, but I want to make sure that everybody realizes, Dr. Justin Dean's in there too. I learned a ton from everybody. And I'm not going to share all those parts. You guys can go through the podcast and listen through to really get the nitty-gritty stuff. But I'm going to share the stuff I thought was fun. So the memorable moments, by the way, to find those podcasts, just go into the P2 Sports Care site. Just search the session number or the person's name that you're looking for, and it's going to pop up. All the transcripts, everything's on there. So the top 5, the first one I'm going to share is with Dr. Stuart McGill and Brian Carroll. Through this segment, actually, Stu, he's talking about something, and then he starts bringing up like butter and treehouse, and we talk about tree houses. Brian ends up talking about how he ate a whole Costco pie. So they were just ratting each other out. I thought that was kind of fun, so we'll go through that. Number 58 was actually a good friend, Tom Fleischer. He's been on a couple times, and he's kind of a bullshitter. So as you'll see, like, we get about 10 minutes into an episode here, and the topic was about what is Pilates, just breaking it down for the public. And he starts ripping on me about what celebrity he thinks I look like. So that was a fun bit right there. He wouldn't actually let the whole thing proceed forward until we actually spoke about this thing. So he was prepared for it. I know he had everyone listed. The third one's going to be number 74 with Dr. Scott Dunaway, who is in Nashville, Tennessee. And on Instagram, he's Chiro Strength. He talks about what the usage of coconut oil in excess are. 95 is going to be a recent one. It's Michael Bann. We get it all on a huge side topic, talking about Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, as well as Contra and Super Nintendo. So it was kind of fun. And 76 is me and Jesse Machado have a conversation about the opera and how everyone has to agree about squatting technique. So I think these will all be fun for you guys to listen to. I'll do some interjections in the middle before we start them, just so we can have some pretense. And I do want to reflect and keep reflecting about how fortunate I feel about learning from these people and having this experience, because I think a lot of healthcare practitioners would die for the chance of speaking to some of these individuals for an hour on and off air, learning the things that made them believe in the type of practices and methods that they use. So very, very fortunate to do that. Now, before we proceed forward, we are going to go into one of the moments which I've experienced throughout my life. I'm sure everybody has too. You go into a bathroom, right? And so I was just recently out of town. I went to Central Coast, California, and all along the way, it's about a 5-hour drive if you make it 5.5. 5, probably 5 if you make it in good time. And along the way, you obviously stop at some bathrooms if you have to, and so on. And it seems like every single guy's bathroom, and I've talked to some dudes about this, and women, and it's funny, everyone thinks their bathroom is more wrecked than the other person. Because I always think if I go in the women's bathroom, it's going to be nicer, but you go into the men's because it's the men's bathroom, and then you go in there, and it's funny, you're in there at the urinal, and then you see some dude come in and go take a whiz in the stall, even though there's a urinal open. So when you go in there and you go into a stall to actually do your business in there, you look on the ground, there's all this like dribble everywhere. And I don't really get it. And I started thinking about this thing. I'm like, well, maybe they have prostate issues, okay? Maybe they have stream flow issues. Like, how can we solve this problem? Because it seems like such a pain in the ass. Or just straddle a little bit further, perhaps. So here's the thing that I was thinking on that is that men should learn how to have a better forward fold envelope or anterior fold envelope. So there's actually an exercise called the Valet forward lean, which you lean like a pencil forward and kind of rock into your toes and just mainly get over the bowl a little bit more, or maybe we stop standing with our feet so far from the bowl and straddle the darn thing and go straight down. I mean, there has to be a way to solve this thing. I don't see why public restrooms are such a mess. I mean, maybe it's a movement-related disorder. So when I tell this to women, they're like, no, you should go into a women's bathroom. And I'm like, well, why? You guys have like couches and stuff and like waiting areas. And they're like, well, yeah, we got that sometimes. But they're like, you'd be surprised that people pee on the seat in there. I'm like, well, how do you do that? You nearly sit down, or they're like, well, they hover. And I'm like, how can they, if they're hovering and it kind of goes straight down, how can this actually be on the seat? So I've concluded, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is that people cannot squat far enough or deep enough. So I was thinking, how do we solve this? Well, I think that every man should, number one, again, have that anterior fold envelope or the ability to straddle the thing and just go straight down. Lean on the wall. Put your hand on the wall. Doesn't matter, right? Just don't fall forward into it. Women, on the other hand, should be able to have a sumo squat to parallel for time. So however long it takes them to get their business done, they should be able to sumo squat, straddle the thing, get deep enough, and hover. Because I would imagine those people who can't squat to parallel, maybe, who have like a 45 squat, all of a sudden they have a horizontal trajectory, and that produces our problems. So fitness is going to solve all of our bathroom issues. That is my spiel for this time. So next time you go in there and you see dribbles on the ground or dribbles on the seat, just think about maybe we get that person to squat or lean a little bit more. I think we got this whole thing solved. Now, let's get into those episode clips. And the first one is going to be with Stu McGill and Brian Carroll. Now, I had on Stu and Brian in session 63 because we were talking about their book of The Gift of Injury. And I actually found this one from a interviewing standpoint a little bit challenging. And they're both great conversationalists, so they helped me through this thing. And we didn't actually clip anything out. I like to do 100% full goes if all possible, because I think that it's more realistic and we get all the nitty-gritty stuff in there. So because I was actually, this is one of the few ones that I wrote down a lot of points on, because I want to make sure I got the story right and then jump back and forth between each one and say, Brian, what do you think about Stu? What do you think about that? And so on. So eventually we got to this point where Stu was talking about, and I'll let you listen to it. He was talking about a pound of butter. And it made me think, that's an odd thing to think about. Why are you thinking about a pound of butter? I can understand like a pound of something else, but a pound of butter, I've never seen butter that big in my life probably. And then, so they go back and forth a little bit, and we find out that Stu lives in tree houses basically, and Brian is the reason for any shortage of Costco apple pies. So here we go into that clip.
If I asked you to hold a pound of butter outstretched in your hand in front of you with your elbow at 90 degrees, your bicep would be screaming by tonight. If I asked you, put down the pound of butter within a few hours, you will be probably pain-free. So as soon as you can start organizing a body to take those chronic crushers and stresses out, people say, posture doesn't matter. Are you kidding? I had an athlete last week who had extensor-driven lifting pain. They were standing there with their knees locked back in extension. And I said, just relax your knees. All of a sudden, a slight tilt of the pelvis and their spine got out of that chronic default extension. And she says, oh, my back pain's gone. And all I did was say, soften your knees a little bit, So it's, I just,
Well, I think the biggest thing here is I'm curious why you picked a pound of butter. I've never even seen a pound of butter.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something, Brian. I was down at Brian's place the last time, and we were doing whatever we were doing during the day. And his wife Rhea, who's just fabulous, she brought home apple pie from Costco. You know those king size apple pies?
Yes.
And Brian said, "Oh, you want a slice of pie?" And I said, "Well, I'm just a skinny old man now." And I said, "Okay, I'll just have a sliver of pie." And he cut me a piece, and I said, no, a third of that. So I ate my little sliver. He ate the rest. Anyway, so I come down for breakfast the next morning. Remember, this is a king-size Costco pie. And I said, I'll have a slice of pie. And he looks at me. He's got this great big Cheshire cat grin. He ate the whole damn thing that night.
He ate the whole pie?
So I think he went from 280, 90.
Anyway, I don't want to jump ahead on that nutritional part of the whole book, but it sounds like that we weren't in the cutting phase there.
No, I just finished a competition actually, and that was a little bit of a reward time. But that is a great recipe for heart disease. You got simple carbs and saturated fat, man. It's perfect.
Man, actually, I've always thought this before. To stop people from eating, let's just say a tub of ice cream, right? At what point is there diminishing return? Could you just get the taste in your mouth and spit it out? I mean, is it so I guess we should just do this rest of the podcast about how you maneuvered the entire pie. What went through your mind when you ate that entire pie?
It was good, and I just wanted more until it was gone.
So at the end of the pie, did you think, there's nothing left in life?
I thought that it was a big mistake.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to put that out to the world, but
no, we did.
We do have a good time, Seb. I hope you get that.
No, I can say that's what you need.
We had some great ribeyes. We had some corn on the cob. We had some Brussels sprouts with some coconut oil and cashews mixed together. It was awesome. And then, of course, we had some Bluebell ice cream on top of that apple pie. But it was a good night.
Oh, man. Sure. So I think Stu really deflected away. He pulled the red herring. He threw the pie on you, but he didn't answer that 1 pound of butter thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You should have said the 1 pound apple pie.
Yeah, right.
I went out in the woods today and I picked some shaggy mane mushrooms, and I came home and I put a big whack of butter in the fry pan, some garlic, and I fried up those mushrooms and ate them on an onion loaf.
Are you an Explorer Scout? I don't think I ever asked this. Are you an Eagle Scout or a Ranger or something of that nature? Eating mushrooms sounds dangerous to me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we had a conference here this weekend, and people flew in from all over the world to do a master assessment course, and they had no idea where I lived.
Yeah.
I'm a little out there.
Are you? Do you have a do you have a tree house? You probably have a tree house, don't you?
I've got a few, yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so the next one is we're going to backtrack a couple episodes and go to number 58 with Tom Fleischer, who's an interesting dude because he actually has a lot of education under his belt. He teaches anatomy at the University of Texas, Austin, Hook'em Horns, I think. I haven't been there to visit him since he's been there, but I've been to Austin before, Hook'em Horns. And he's educated in diagnostic ultrasound. He's a Pilates instructor, and he has his own little clinic there in Austin. But he's spent a lot of time in the research lab doing stuff on pelvic floor and the usage of balloons, which is actually funny story because he, as you're going to hear, he is such a BSer. I don't know if to believe him half the time or not. So he tells me this story one time where he's like, oh, he was teaching for Pilates over in I think it was Rio, maybe. I think it was South America somewhere. But so he's coming back and they bumped him to a first class versus coach or economy or wherever he was at. And he said, and lo and behold, he sat next to someone that he knew, and not formally knew, but knew of. And so he was sitting next to Dr. Oz, and so he's telling me this story. I'm like, you're so full of shit. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I told Dr. Oz about balloon breathing because Tim's doing a whole study on balloon breathing, which he couldn't comment on a ton yet because they're still getting some of the results back, but they're very favorable. So basically balloon breathing for decreasing pelvic floor issues and then decreasing back pain. So apparently this intrigued Dr. Oz, and he's like, yeah, just do some videos and we'll put it on the show. So Tim's telling me about this whole thing, and he's like, yeah, I'm just getting ready for Dr. Oz, and hey, what kind of videos should I do for Dr. Oz? And I'm like, you're so full of shit. You know, like, and finally he sends me these videos, and some it wasn't correspondence he sent me, but eventually sent me the clip that was going on there, and Dr. Oz was introing him, and he did a satellite, and I'm like, no shit, you're really doing that. So he would actually he'd be the great person to be on there because he's such a comedy act, but he knows his stuff very well. So we'll go into the clip right now when he is talking about what kind of celebrity I look like, because people have told me I look like a celebrity of a couple different people. So he's gonna debunk that. So you're getting off topic. Tell me about Pilates, damn it.
Wait. Before we start, I told you I was going to do this.
Oh, okay.
You do not look like Paul Rudd.
No. Okay, so Tim realized later that after our interview, that was a spurt of Paul Rudd references in the beginning, and you just went straight into the Paul Rudd stuff during the episode. And I sent you pictures of, and I got two this week. Someone said Christian Bale, and this was on YouTube. The next comment was Tom Cruise, and I think the next was Paul Rudd.
Yeah, you don't look like Tom Cruise. You don't look like Paul Rudd. Now, Christian Bale, you got the jib of a Christian Bale. Like, you kind of talk like Christian Bale. Like, you have the same kind of, you know, the mouth movements as Christian Bale. I can understand that.
Oh, okay,
but
okay.
Paul Rudd, no way. But I wanted to be fair to your audience, and so I'm giving you a few options of who you actually do look like.
Okay, so we'll do a spurt of Christian Bale references to come, because apparently that's the only thing. So I guess
from the nose down, you're Christian Bale.
You know, I should probably take a selfie on the Instagram feed and let people just say what I don't do and don't look like.
You know, that's an appropriate time to take a selfie, like half it and have a picture of Christian Bale and then yourself.
Celebrity comparisons. Okay.
Okay, so the first guy, have you ever seen A Christmas Story?
Wait, are you talking about Pilates yet?
No. We're still on this. I'm not done.
Okay. Okay.
So there's two people who I'm going to give you the option of looking at. One of them, his name is Zach Ward.
Okay.
Okay, he played the character Scott Farkas in A Christmas Story.
Okay.
You look like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christmas Story. I'm looking it up right now. No, this kid's redheaded. He's got braces. Let me give you now.
There's one more for you.
Okay.
You look like a famous actor from the early 90s as well. A guy by the name of Warwick Davis. Warwick
Davis.
Yeah, W-A-R-W-I-C-K.
W-A-R-W-I-C-K. Davis. Well,
yeah, you look like...
This guy looks like the guy from the Night of the Roxbury. or a small Andre the Giant, really.
Yeah, well, he played the Leprechaun in the movie The Leprechaun.
No, he was an Ewok, the Ewok Wicket in Star Wars, it says.
No, well, I was thinking about him from, like Warwick Davis. So there's your options there.
Okay, I'll take Warwick. I like Warwick.
What you need to do is take over the selfie feature, right? Like we talked about in half the picture, and then go, and then hashtag, like, do your business moves, hashtag it up.
Okay, maybe I'll put Warwick and this other kid on there. I'll do a 3-way shot, and we'll do a selfie and just see. I'm guaranteeing zero comparison.
Wow.
Okay, tell me about Pilates. We're 10 minutes in. We haven't spoken a word about Pilates yet. We'll come back. We'll come back to this. I'll let you ream on me later.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little Pilates. What do you want to know?
So the next clip is going to be number 74, session number 74 with Dr. Scott Dunaway. He's a chiropractor in Nashville, Tennessee. And we've talked a lot on the phone since the interview. I consider him a friend now. And I've only met him once in person. We went over and did a little bit of workout together when I was in Nashville. But yeah, he's such a personable dude. And if you don't follow him on Instagram, you probably should. He's got a lot of good stuff to share, a lot of good exercises. And it was just a brain dump for him for a long time. And now all of a sudden he's got, I think, 45,000 followers. People like him, lo and behold. So in this one, he tells me a little bit about coconut oil, and apparently he was doing some coffee, keto coffee, with coconut oil or some type of oil as well as butter. But he's out of butter, so he did a bunch of coconut oil, and then he gets into some trouble. So let's hear what he had to say about that whole experience. You know, I heard that actually all you have to do to make a patient better is not hip mobility. You just rub coconut oil on them. Heard coconut oil, and I swear to God,
coconut
like
oil is very good for everything.
Coconut oil. If we would have bought coconut oil farms or coconut farms as well as cauliflower farms right now, or like 5 years ago, we'd have been rich by now.
God, so yeah, that's coconut oil can it is so that's. Most of my experience with coconut oil comes from when I was, I always do experimentations, whether it's with diets or workouts or anything like that. And so definitely did some experimentation with coconut oil. And actually, coconut oil has been what now I use for my, when I'm doing any type of scraping or I need some kind of lubricant, I use a lot of coconut oil for that too.
It does make them better.
It does. But ingesting coconut oil can get a little dicey. And so we've all heard about like the butter and coconut oil, the butter, NTT oil, and the coffee. And so I would do that, and I still do to a certain extent. But I had a bad experience with it. So if you did not know, coconut oil, when ingested in a larger amount, becomes an extreme laxative.
Does it really?
And
I've never had. How many spoonfuls you take?
There was no measurement at all, and if there was a measurement, I probably would have gotten that red flag. It was just I took just a teaspoon, and I didn't have any butter that day, so I was like, I'm just going to double up on this coconut oil. So this was on my drive up to Clarksville, and so I had about an hour, so I drank my coffee nice and slow, and I'm getting in there with a patient, and I'm thinking, oh, what's going on? I feel like my stomach is upset, and I start sweating. And I'm sitting there trying to talk to the patient, and I'm a one-man show in my clinic, right? So for right now, I kind of do everything because it's a very low-volume clinic, and so I can't just say, Jamie's going to check you out. Nice seeing you. Goodbye. And I sat there, and I felt it building up and building up and building up. And each one of my treatments are like 20 to 30 minutes, and so I felt it pretty early on. I was like, I'll just ride this out. And by the end of it, it looked like my feet were on fire. I was sitting here just kind of hopping back and forth. I'm like, yep. I got them checked out, ran to the bathroom, and never did coconut oil in my coffee again to that extent.
Really? That's
nope.
Good. That's good.
It was tough.
So with the remainder of your coconut oil, did you just cook with it? You don't even.
I do cook with it, and I still put it in there, but I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm only going to do mostly butter and just a little bit of coconut oil now. So It's all about the dosage with that one, which is with a lot of stuff. But yeah, coconut oil. If you ever have an issue just gobble up some coconut oil and don't travel too far away from a bathroom.
I'll do it on my day off. Yeah, it was good times. Thanks for sharing that, Scott. That's not something everyone's going to share there, but I get a feeling we're going to learn a lot more about you in the near future. You're gonna explode, man. I can tell. Unless you actually, all you got to do is take your shirt off a little bit more in your Instagram videos, and you're gonna be set. Maybe shave the chest a little bit. Keep the beard though. Keep the facial hair because I think that's the icon. You could be the next Stu McGill with that. You just make sure that your logo includes a Fu Manchu or whatever you got going on there. Now, the next one is going to be session number 95, which is a recent one. This is with Michael Bann. And it's funny, I came back from a seminar, which I told the story before I introed him on mine, on his interview, but I came back from the seminar. I'm like, holy crap, I think I met the smartest person alive. Because he literally blew my mind like 4 times that night at dinner. And maybe I was just easily entertained and stunned at the time. I don't know. But he's got a lot of great information to share. He's currently a strength coach, but he's going to go for his PhD much more. So he's a smart dude. Even though he doesn't have those higher credentials yet, I think we're gonna hear a lot from him over the years. But as you're going to see on this clip, I pulled all the clinical stuff out of it, and we basically just went into Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Contra, up down, left right, AB select start, and the what else are we going to there? I forget, but either way, it's not clinical in the least. But it's funny, you see the passions come out of people. I never watched Dragon Ball Z. But it's funny, you bring this thing up of people roughly my age, and they just lose their mind about it. So here we go into that.
Yeah, you can superset them. I'm telling you right now, it saves a lot of time. While you're doing the calf raise, you're doing the bicep curl, and then it works.
Yeah, well, it almost looks like you're just trying to be a Dragon Ball Z character right now. You're just like ramping up like that dude.
Well, I'm not going to take 47 episodes to go Super Saiyan. I'll do it a lot faster.
Wait, is that how long that? Wait, was there actually that many episodes of Dragon Ball Z?
Wait, first of all, you have to go watch all the episodes now because Dragon Ball Z is the best thing ever for cartoons. Yeah, dude, there's hundreds of episodes, and they just finished up Dragon Ball Super, which is the new series as well. I'm a huge nerd. Yeah, sorry.
Well, what is this about? I've seen pictures of it and a couple of small animations, and I've seen that kid in a park in that YouTube video who's just losing his mind. Have you seen? I
haven't seen that.
You haven't seen? So
later today.
Yeah, it's great. Like just the passion. And this kid's like 10 years old, just like he's ramping up like 3 different times, like losing his shit. But no, I've never actually seen it.
I've never seen it. Yeah,
you need to see it. Like you'll lose your mind.
I love it. I love Dragon Ball Z. I grew up on that stuff.
So what is the backstory of Dragon Ball Z? I'm curious.
Well, Dragon Ball Z is based on the cartoon Dragon Ball. So Dragon Ball, Goku, he's basically this alien kid with a tail who's a Saiyan. And then he grows up and does all these cool things. And then the next series, Dragon Ball Z, happens. And Dragon Ball Z is basically a continuation of Dragon Ball. Throughout Dragon Ball Z, he like completely changes his power levels. Like he powers up, and every time he comes across a new challenge, he basically overcomes it. And he's excited for every challenge. And he'll even say it in the series. He's like, I don't know why I'm excited to fight you. I could die, but I really want to fight you. And then he powers up and he constantly wins, except for one fight where his son actually won, Gohan. But then after that, it went back to Goku being the hero. And then in Dragon Ball Super, it's like 15-something years after Dragon Ball Z. It's great, dude. You got to watch it.
Wait, so is this really a cartoon that has a monologue in the middle? Like he's thinking to himself or speaking to himself in the corner before he beats people up? He's so deep.
I mean, that's a really oversimplified way of looking at it. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it, I guess. Yeah, totally.
Okay. I will watch a couple Dragon Ball Zs and get back to you.
Great. Everyone is going to know how nerdy I am now. Fantastic.
Wait, so besides Dragon Ball Z, what is the other type of T-shirt that you would wear?
The other type of T-shirt?
Yeah, because I know you got a Dragon Ball Z T-shirt probably.
No, I don't have a Dragon Ball T-shirt, actually. I should have.
Yeah, why not?
Because I've never thought to buy one, I guess. I don't know.
If I said the words up, down, left, right, AB, start, what would you think?
It's ABA select start.
Oh.
And then I get 30 lives.
Is that Contra?
Yeah. Yeah, man. But you got to hit select start because you'd mess that up.
You're right. There was actually recently last year I went to I was staying somewhere, and someone's Netflix was already on the TV, so I wanted to put my Netflix on, and it was in Spanish, and I can't read Spanish, so I'm like, how the hell do I log out of this thing, right? So I go on to Google and check it out, and literally to get out of it was you take the little thing and you do up, down, left, right, and I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Like, so that's what it was. It logs you out. It worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, Michael, for being such a good sport about all that. So, good times, good times. Next, we have number 76, which is session number 76. It was a discussion about the opera with Jesse Machado. And Jesse he actually had another great quote in there. Don't let your hip flexibility be a spinal liability. I really like that. So that was going to be his gravestone quote. So go and listen to this one. Was actually a lot of fun. He came into the studio and we had a couple beers and we got to have a little bit more face-to-face interaction than a lot of these ones are satellite through Zoom. So me and Jesse had a really, really good time, and it was, I think seeing people in person, being in the studio, I think produces a better, more entertaining show, honestly. So here we go with Jesse's clip.
You start to get in tune by just trying different things. Explore, you know? If you explore a little bit more, you're going to understand, like, maybe put my weight that way. That feels so awkward. Whenever you try to rebalance somebody, it always feels like they're going way too much to the other side. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. They're like, I feel like I'm putting way too much weight on my left leg. Okay, but your spine is neutral, dude. Like,
This is wrong. It doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
That's how I feel like going to an opera or like a playhouse.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I heard actually it's bad form to, like, you know, like you got to get up in a movie and just walk out, or like it's a baseball game, you're like, I got to go to the bathroom. In a play, it's like you can't leave. Like, you got to piss in your seat. Like, you just can't leave.
No way.
Yeah, can you crawl out? No, because they'll see you on stage.
Yeah, that environment is not conducive to allowing you to move.
No, not at all. What if you got to like fidget? What if you got some back pain? You're like moving around?
No, they don't care. They're there to put on a show for you. You better get focused.
I know, but they need more intermissions. Like I like what they do, but man, I just don't. I think I got a problem. I don't have the attention span, nor do I understand what's going on.
You got to remember, a lot of these plays were, or a lot of these operas were made like 100 years ago, right now.
yeah, but why? Like, okay, so I was watching a movie the other day, right, and there was an opera on it, right, and this lady is like singing, and this guy's singing, and like, number one, I don't like singing with a lot of treble. Okay, so I had a problem with that. Second is that I'm like, I can't understand the language. And third is that she's singing it so loudly, I can't understand even the words that she's saying if it was in English. How are all these people getting something out of this? I don't get it.
No way. That's an unwritten rule between you and the rest of the audience, is to just not say anything and sit there through it.
It's like when you go to like a museum and you look, you're like, it's amazing. And everyone's like, it's amazing. You're like, what does it mean? I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
That's how it's going down right there. You're all made a little pact. You all made a pact.
A pinky pact. So when you're at work and you're like seeing someone squat,
yeah,
or say one of the trainers, other trainers, actually trainer or coach,
trainer,
okay, and the trainers come over, you're like, hey, do you see anything with this squat? And they're like, I know I should be saying yes right now, but I don't know. What do you see, Joe?
You mean like getting everybody on the same page for what it should look like? Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do. Absolutely.
Nice. Thanks again, Jesse. That was an amazing time. So I really had a good time getting to know you even better. So I guess that was session number 100. A recap on the top 5 memorable moments from the first 100 episodes, 99 episodes of the Restoring Human Movement podcast, which actually first started as the Performance Place Sports Care podcast. So we did a little bit of rebranding around, I think, session number 91, which I think this has a better feel of what we're trying to accomplish here. So going forward, I guess if you guys are wondering what's next for the show, I would love to have some good organization, honestly. I'm not going to say I don't organize these, but since I still do run a private practice and I see patients all week, and I create a lot of other content, articles, e-products, or online courses. We actually give away. My goal actually for my website is to be able to have free 3 or 5 email courses for things like we have ankle, foot pain coming up. We have hamstring tightness, chronic hamstring tightness with runners, low back pain, shoulder pain, and I would love to, I'm getting all those made. I'm creating them. And so I don't always have time to organize these podcasts in a good way. But I think what I would imagine the long term of this podcast is that I would love to have 2 sessions a week, which are interviews of a topic, which I know I did this in the beginning of the year. We had a hamstring month. Then we had, what was the second month? I think it was knee month. So I had 2 experts, as well as some anatomy, as well as some biomechanics and some fundamental things that people should understand about that stuff. So I think 2 of the episodes in the month are going to be more patient-based, things that you can share with your patients to get them to better understand the questions that they already ask you. And the other ones are going to be more for, hey, I want to learn a lot more than I actually knew. And I get that, again, through interviewing people. So if you guys have great people to interview and you think they have some revolutionary things you haven't heard on the show before, I'd love to hear who they are. So if you would like to, I would love that you would email me. My direct email is seb@p2sportscare.com, and I will definitely respond back. So let me know who you want to hear about, because I make this show specifically for you, although I learn a ton from it as well, and I have a good time doing it. So lastly is, again, all the show notes are on p2sportscare.com. Go through and check out all those free courses I have. I have a ton of articles, a ton of references, a ton of videos. I mean, the YouTube channel has, I think we have 12,000 people following at this point. And I want more than anything, I want people to find this content and share it. I want you to share it and make it useful, because I love creating stuff, but it is really frustrating as a content creator to not have any of your stuff catch traction. And a lot of mine does catch traction, but I think it's funny to see the ones that actually catch traction are the ones I never thought they would. So share, if you agree with the things I'm saying on those articles and e-courses and whatnot, share them. That's why they're created. That was the best way to give back to me if you're looking to give back to me. So lastly, be good to each other and leave people better than how you found them. Tune in for the next 100 episodes of the Restoring Human Movement podcast. See ya.